Okay, welcome back. Back-to-back videos coming out today. Uh, just pretty inspired to make some videos talking about stuff today. You know, I'd like to make a bunch, but I think I might at least just get out these two. I thought this would be an important topic since this is kind of like I made a bunch of videos, but this is like the first few that are like really getting into like some teachings, some understandings of things to work on and etc. Right? So this one would be like a really good beginning concept for anyone just starting to go through this or just starting to come into this knowledge, right? Or even if you're anywhere in your process and you hadn't taken this step, but I believe it to be a pretty uh, beginning one, to be honest. So this is the concept of be nothing so that you can become everything, right? uh, Now this teaching, at least as far as I've found, is a little more hidden and less talked about than a lot of other things. Like, for example, the last video I made, as above, so below, as within, so without, etc. You'll catch people talking about that all over the place, whether they understand it or not, no matter which perspective of it they see, etc. But like this, the be nothing so that you can become everything. Uh, this is a lot less talked about, a lot less known or an out there topic, right? uh, but it's incredibly important. I think it's one of the first few steps you have to make, at least on one level, to get this process going and working for you, right? And so let me to try and explain it a little bit. And again, this is going to be just like everything else, where there's different perspectives, different levels of this, right? Different aspects of yourself that you'll need to apply this to, right? And that will happen throughout your growth, right? Uh, one of them will be, sorry, one of them will be like in a big outwardly expression, okay? That will probably really affect like your role in life, what you view your role as. Most of the time in this society, right, especially for men who are more geared toward having to be the provider and etc., right? So like your biggest outer expression of this is most likely to have to do with your career, your job, uh, what you do for a living, how you support yourself, because it probably is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, outward aspect that we tend to judge ourselves on and other people judge us on, and etc. So I kind of touched on this in the last video where I said, it's a fallacy where people's first thought when they meet you is to want to know what do you do, because they're trying to judge you based off of that. How educated do they think you are? How successful do they think you are? How financially stable are you, etc., etc. Right? They're trying to judge you based on your current occupation, which is a complete mental fallacy. Yeah. Anyways, so this is what I'm saying for a lot of most people, especially a lot of men, unless you're one who runs away from your responsibilities, right? Your main, biggest outwardly expression like this is usually your job, your career field, how you support yourself and your family, your people, right? So if that's you, right, and you identify with that, then this is the area most likely for your outward expression where this has to change, right? And so it's very common for people to walk away from their career, change careers, quit their job, etc. When people are going through this cocoon phase here, it's really common, especially since like this takes a lot, and so it's very hard to be distracted by a 40, 60, 70, like if you're like me, 78-hour a week job, you then you got to come and take care of kids and keep the house straight and run errands and try to get a little sleep if possible, which isn't, man. uh, so you get my point, right? The world distracts us so much from our inner self and our spiritual journey. If the goal ultimately is to balance all these things, so it's not that you'll never work again and you're not gonna do things and be productive. Absolutely not. You always have to be in service, and I'll get to that. That'll probably be my next video, right? But you need this time to personally go within and do this work, right? And so this is a huge aspect of be nothing so that you can become everything, right? And this takes a leap of faith, just like a lot of these other steps, because we're so stuck in believing that our worth is our job, our worth is our money and what we bring home, and are we able to support and take care of and provide and etc. Right? This kind of becomes our worth. I totally went through this. I felt like my only worth to people was what I could provide for them, and aside from that, like really that would most often affect like how they felt about me or acted it, or how what they would want from you, or etc. You get what I'm saying. uh and that's it's always a mess. It's all a big mess, and you're the one who gets used and abused. You're the slave. You end up being the slave, and even though you had the better, higher intention, and you're actually the person that everybody depends on. And if you were to walk away from the situation, it's them who would crumble and not you, right? See, but it's real easy to get trapped in all this shit while we're asleep, and we just don't really get it yet. Uh, so doing that, uh, and it has to come to you. Like for me, I could tell over the years I was getting more and more tired, and less willing to be taken advantage of, even by my jobs. And I could see it slowly but surely, and with each job that I would change into, this would grow more and more. But that it was that I would take less shit from them, and I would see the ways that they were taking advantage of me, and I would see how I had no business working for people who really they're not above me like they think they are, and they don't even deserve me. And if they had a clue, they'd just take care of me a little better and have a really great fucking employee, right? It's all whatever. I didn't make this video to talk about that. My point was that I could see myself getting more and more upset with what I was seeing, right? And how it feels, and how it uh, comes out in your life, right? And so I was taking less and less and less of this. And I usually always have no problem with leaving a place if they push me too far or something. It doesn't matter what it is, because I'm always successful in what I do. I always find something else, and it'll always be okay. It's never been, I never really had that issue, because I've always had a lot of drive and push, and just went out there and do what I got to do to get what I need to get, right? So I've never really been worried about it in that aspect, but I could see how it started to get more and more where I cared less and less what they thought, less and less what they had to say, less and less if me speaking the truth and saying what's right and even asking for what I want, and deserve, right? If this upsets you or ruffles some feathers or whatever, I cared less and less and less, and even when I would go and get a new job, it became less that they were interviewing me and I was trying so hard to get their fucking job and be their slave. It became more and more that I was interviewing them, and I'm like, what are you offering me? What's better than the place down the road? What's better than the other? What are you trying to give me? Is how I started to approach jobs more, right? And in some ways that worked out for me more, but here's a thing that you find in rising up your pay grade and etc. whatever, is that they just take more and more from you. They take more and more of your time, more and more of your life, more and more. It's You can't win is really what I found with the way I was living, really, and my understanding of reality and etc. And that's not to say like I tried incredibly hard. I worked myself to death and I put myself down for what's right for the people around me and etc. Right, and it just doesn't matter. It was all a big circle jerk because I was asleep and you can't see how you're sabotaging yourself at the same time, right? So you have to eventually break this circle that you're running around in. And for me, it happened from like just getting so frustrated and fed up that I just didn't care anymore. It was what happened. It kind of like broke me. And what that brought out was a pure intent of change. And I don't care what it takes. I don't care what it is. I really don't. If there's something else out here, I need to see it. And because I really just don't care anymore. I'm fucking done. So it came out of a huge place of frustration of trying and trying and doing and being and etc. And it's just never being enough, to realizing that I was running around in a circle that it never had uh, a winning outcome, at least not in the moment. I had to come to this. And so uh, when like it just before this eclipse happened, which brought me into all this now, right? Okay. uh I was at the last company I was at, and I was getting really frustrated with them and etc. And it came to be that they were just going to close the place down, this location or whatever, and I've explained this in another video, and I just embraced it as good. I didn't worry about it at all, didn't care about it at all. I kind of put some thought here and there into what did I want to do. I could get another job tomorrow, just about anywhere, not a big deal. But is that really what I want, and etc. And so, I figured out different things and made different things happen to where I can live completely different now. But a big part of it was being willing and able to just say fuck it and allow it to drop, take that little bit of a leap and be nothing for a little bit, and it's not that I was nothing, but it's that the, the biggest thing that I thought represented me and made me who I was and whatever and etc. Right, with this my work, what I do, how I pay the bills, how I take care of my family, etc. Right, I just let it go and wasn't worried that shit wasn't gonna be okay and wasn't gonna work out. Now, granted, it's not like I did that being broke. Okay, I had some money in the bank saved so that I could pay things, could figure out what I'm gonna do. If what my plan is doesn't work out, it's okay. I got money to fall back on to pay my bills and stuff, and until I figure out what I am gonna do, right? You see, so I understand how you can't be in a position of being flat broke and do this probably, but if you've been being you and trying in your life, you shouldn't be flat broke, okay? Even if you're not happy with your life, even if you're not living how you'd like to live, etc., etc., you shouldn't be flat broke, okay? If you are, you ain't been putting in the type of efforts I'm talking about, to be honest with you. Um, anyways, so I realize how that plays a part in me being able to just say, throw my hands up and say, okay, fuck it, because it did. Um, but so you got to get yourself to a place, and you got to be able to come up with a plan, to hopefully this works out for me, and this will work out like this, and I'll do this, and then this will be okay, right? You have to come up with something that works for you to make you be able to just walk away from work like that for a while. Uh, but you can do it, all right? And you may have to change your view on what you need constantly. You know what I mean? Because most of us can drop a lot of things that we do that we really don't need, and it just costs a bunch of extra work hours, really, is if you look at it, right? So, uh, so like I'm saying, for me, like that was it. That I just dropped that and let that go, and it turned out that my plan did work out. Things, not exactly like I thought. In fact, it kind of pissed me off in ways and was troublesome, and still kind of is in ways. Not too bad. It pretty much worked out decent, good enough. Uh, so it didn't go exactly. It wasn't the smoothest sailing, but it worked, and it's doing all right. And I'm having this time, and I am doing this work, inner work, and I am growing, and et cetera, et cetera. And it all is possible. Whereas years ago, I would have said that that was never possible to be able to take time for myself. Are you fucking kidding me? To be able to sleep a full night's sleep, rest, right? That was a joke to me for a very large portion of my life. Like, and now I can keep going with these very common things that to me I didn't get to have or do and weren't a part of my life, such as sleep and balance and rest and uh, go out and go have some fun, damn it, and enjoy a little bit of your money, enjoy your life a little, etc. So for me, that was a big way of breaking it outerly to be nothing so that I could become everything. Just drop it, let it go. When they, told me that they were closing down that place, that was the best thing that could have happened because my thought process from there uh, brought a lot of change. So that was good. And I easily could have been scared. I easily could have been worried about money and bills and what am I going to do, and I'm going to end up using up what I've saved and then I'll be broke or some fuck. I easily could have fell into that fear and just hopped and grabbed myself another job and been right back to work all those hours and whoop de fucking whoop, and wouldn't have made any progress. uh, Probably would have been going in the same circle there and whatever else until I come to maybe another shot at this, who knows if it even comes back around or what. Um, so I'm glad I did it. So that was my outward expression of be nothing so that I could become everything. And it's going very well, to be honest with you. Also, there's more like uh, on an internal, like emotional level, okay? To be nothing so that you can become everything. This is really gonna depend on where you are, if you need this or not, right? So if you are really depressed, okay, even if you're functioning depressed, all right, because that's a real thing. There's that full-on depression where people don't even want to get out of bed, they don't want to do anything, be around anybody, etc., whatever. And so much so to the point where they just wreck their life and let it run down the hole. And they obviously, if you're not getting up and paying your going to work, you're not paying your bills, they let their house get foreclosed, etc. They're like, there's super deep levels of depression, right? And then there's like these functioning levels of depression where a lot of us are, where we are not happy at all with our lives. We're not happy with who we are or how we feel or how we think people perceive us or treat us, right? We're not happy with our jobs and our careers. We know that we're better than what we're living. You can be depressed and all the things that I said before. When you're asleep, you do the opposite of as within, so without. You actually suck all the environment, all the stuff around you in. As without, so within is what we do while we're asleep. And so we feel all this shit, and it holds us down and weighs us down in all these ways, right? And so, you can even be this functioning depressive, where you are not happy with life. You don't have fun. You don't have joy. You really wouldn't probably care too much if you lived or died. You're kind of day to day living just to get by, and probably you're one or two bad things away from having major problems in your life. Major catastrophe, and you're just trying to hold it all together, treating one problem to the next, and not actually living or enjoying your life or being your best self or being the best to people that you could be or you want to be. You know what I mean? This really really affects us in so many ways. And so my point is, depending on how where you're at emotionally, it will depend on how bad you need to be nothing so that you can become everything on an emotional level. Okay, because you may feel really good about yourself and your life and be pretty content and happy. Whether you're on your journey or not, it doesn't matter. Uh, People can be pretty content and happy with their lives, especially if they have other people that they crutch upon all the time and take from. And you know, the takers of this world usually tend to be very content with themselves and and happy with themselves. They have problems and stuff too, and they tend to not deal with that very well, and etc. But from their day to day, they look very happy and just fine. And sometimes we're like, why don't we just be like you and just use everybody and take advantage and etc. Right? And we know that's not the answer. It's just a frustration that we vent sometimes because we're tired of looking at these people and seeing that. It disgusts us because we know how it makes our lives harder because we're the ones giving to all this. Uh, but it is a part of your growth too. You got to be careful of that. That's a pitfall. Don't get upset with these people. Don't. Uh, it's not that you can call them out on bullshit if you have to and need to, right? There's such a thing as righteous anger. That's what brings about positive change. Okay, but there's also such a thing as wasted energy, useless energy, negative anger that just breeds more negativity. Okay, there's differences between things, and you gotta learn them. Just to stay on point though of the emotional, be nothing so that you can become everything. Is that if you are really really depressed or even just a functioning depressive, okay, then you definitely need to do this on the emotional level. And if you are able to do this, like you're successful at introverted things, being alone, thinking to yourself, going within, understanding, contemplating things and not being so harsh on yourself to just be objective, right? Okay, you're gonna need, if you're deep in this depression or high anxiety, functioning depression, you know, similar things of this aspect that are hurting you emotionally, the baggage that you carry around like this, things from your childhood that hurt you or whatever, right? Okay, you really need a new clean slate, right? To work with. Okay, you can't carry around, you can't ascend. You can't fix yourself if you're gonna just constantly carry around this heavy ass baggage of messed up emotional feelings and thoughts and beliefs and etc. Right? You'll never be able to grow like that. You can't. So we have to learn to drop those bags, to let that shit go, let it go. And there's even actually techniques to do this with a negative cosmic karma that you may have brought with you from a past life and etc. Right? There are even techniques to drop that and let that go. All right, but that's getting a little deeper, a little further in. Um, so just what I'm talking about on the emotional level, you need a clean slate. So you need to again do this same process, be nothing, so that you can become everything. Okay, drop every preconceived notion of what you think and believe about yourself. The self-consciousness, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not good enough, I don't look good, I'm not smart, I'm stupid, or et cetera, et cetera. There's so many things that we take on from everything, right? uh, and culture and media and society can be really heavy on that too, to be honest with you. So like we take in so many things that just make us feel less than, you know? And none of this stuff is us. None of this. Your physical body is not you at your core. It's not what your consciousness, your awareness, your thoughts. That's who you are. Your outer shell is just that. It's your outer shell, and only for the moment. This is not permanent. Okay? When you're done with this shell, just like a hermit crab, your spirit, your consciousness is gonna find another shell. All right. The goal is to have your new shell not be here in this same dimension. All right. That's the goal. Unless maybe you really like it here and you're content, then that's up to you. So trying to make that clean slate by dropping everything. And I know, believe me, I know that this is difficult, right? Even sounds hard, it ain't even like sounds easier than it is. And it even sounds hard if you think about it, okay? These are beliefs that you've been carrying around for who knows your whole life, few years, 10 years, whatever. These things are kind of deeply ingrained in you, and you feel certain ways and have certain anxieties and don't do things that you would like to do and etc. because of these things. So you are not being your true self. Now, do you understand? And by following that, you will never be happy in your life. You will never be truly happy with yourself in your life as long as you are carrying around these beliefs that I'm talking about, these thoughts, these anxieties, these self-conscious beliefs and stuff, okay? You will never project and manifest the life that will make you happy, because you will always be carrying around this: I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, this is this, I can't do all that. Man, it's a lot. And while you're carrying it around, I don't know how any of us can expect to progress and to produce the life that we see for ourselves, or that we would love to have, or uh, experience. To be honest. So what I'm telling you right now, this is a very, very, very important teaching that you do not hear about very often. Okay. And so I hope people come around and start watching it, because this will help you a lot. And it is very hard to do. I do understand. It's hard to drop these things that you think about yourself. It's hard to drop your understanding. It's hard to drop things that are deeply ingrained in you that make you hurt, but you still feel them and think them anyways. I understand, and you understand too. This is a lot of the reason why people run to harsh drugs and alcohol and stuff. Okay, they're trying to escape this by not thinking about this stuff, but they don't understand that stuff is ruining their life and destroying their life, and even faster. And not only theirs, but it hurts the people around them too. And on top of it, it's not even a successful tactic. It doesn't allow you to get away from it. Oftentimes when you're drunk, you'll think about things worse. You'll think about them incorrectly. You'll be fucking up your life, not doing what you're supposed to do, and then now you got new and more problems tomorrow to add on top of what you already had. It's detrimental to your physical health. So you look even shittier as the years go on. You feel shittier. Your body works less. It's killing you. Alcohol, harsh drugs, man. This is a mess, and this is why people do it, because they're carrying around all this stuff that they think and believe about themselves, and it makes them feel so down and so shitty, and like they are less than and not good enough, and they will never achieve or see the life that they dream for themselves, and so they run to try and escape. That's flat out all it is. These alcohol and drugs are an escape tactic. Okay, uh, so you want to start fixing these things. This inner work that I'm talking about right here. This is how you do it. This is the best way. This is the permanent way, and this is how you get the life that you always wanted, the life that you always dreamed about, the self realization, that the actual being of you that you truly are, that you really truly came here to be. Okay. Uh, I'm gonna start making some videos soon about ways that can help you try to accomplish this. Okay, trying to drop these things, these beliefs, these thoughts, and replace them with better, new ones that are empowering. Okay, uh, that help you to realize who and what you are, who and what you can be, uh, and really get them to sink in to you. Okay. You got to think about stuff. The more you start to see something, is the more you start to believe it, and the more you believe it, in turn, is now going to be the more you see it. Okay, so this works both positively and negatively. Okay, this is how depression, I've explained, I think, before, the trichotomy. Okay, of how depression feeds itself. You all you got to do is break in on any which one level. Okay, and start the new process, and it's going to reverse. At first it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to stay at it, but the more it reveals itself and goes around, I can talk about that all day. Every time it empowers itself more and more and more. So whether you want this to be positive or negative, either way it's going to work, and you can spiral down into a deep abyss depression, or you can spiral up and raise your consciousness, awareness, understanding, and existence. Okay, uh, so I just touch on real quick, but I'll make a video about it later. Positive affirmations are a really, really helpful tool that I suggest anybody, definitely in the beginning, start to use and take advantage of, to help them through this process of the emotional be nothing, so that you can become everything. Okay. uh, it's a really good help on training your subconscious mind to replace the negative, incorrect thoughts and feelings with more positive, uplifting, and correct, powerful thoughts and beliefs instead, right? Okay. The more you react correctly and with the positivity, is the more it'll show itself, and the more it'll feed itself. The more you react and connect negatively, okay, is the more it's going to show itself, the more belief you'll have in it, the more it's going to feed itself, and the more it'll grow. All right, so just like I said, all these teachings, everything are neutral. Okay, all these energies, everything that is here, this whole place is neutral. All right, it's not the devil, it's not evil, it's not demonic. At the same time, it's not angelic, it's not heaven, it's not this, it's that, right? Okay, like both of those aspects, it is, but it isn't, right? It's true and it's false, okay? Because this is a neutral place, and we decide which energy we're going to attach to and project out, okay? And that's going to decide what we receive back, right? Waking up to these facts and consciously doing these things versus subconsciously failing at these things, right? This is the difference between being your greatest self and your worst self. The difference between experiencing heaven on earth and hell on earth. The difference between being and feeling like a slave all day, every day, or realizing your greatest dreams. Okay. So this is all a part of the great work of yourself, because this is all where it starts: self-mastery. Without self-mastery, there is no moving forward. Okay. So I hope this video was helpful. Uh, like I said, definitely not something that you'll see talked about very often. So I hope people catch on to it. Uh, I'll see you next time. Make some more videos soon. Light and love. Take care.